Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss 1D steady state heat conduction through cylindrical coordinates with uniform heat generation. Now consider a cylinder of radius capital R and length of capital L. Okay, now the basic motive in this subject is basically first of all derive the governing differential equation, then temperature distribution in the system, and finally heat transfer rate. So we are going to do this in this sequence only. So first of all we are going to derive the differential governing equation. Okay, for this consider an element of thickness dr at a radius r from the center in this cylinder. Okay, I have shown this element in the larger view here. Okay, so this is the element which is having inner radius r, thickness dr. So outer radius of this element is r plus dr. Now what is happening to this element? Qr amount of heat is conducted into this element, Qr plus dr heat is conducted out by this element, and capital Qg heat is generated in complete volume of this element. We are going to discuss what is 1D. As we already know, heat can flow in three directions in cylindrical coordinates, which are heat at any point in the cylinder can flow in axial direction along the length, radial direction, okay, and third one is along the tangential direction, okay, radial, axial and tangential. Based upon the practical applications, we are considering heat flow in radial direction because in most of the practical problems heat flows in the radial direction. So we are neglecting the heat flow in axial and tangential direction. Now second one, what is steady state? Steady state means temperature at any point is not varying with time. So for this, no heat should be absorbed by the material. So according to the steady state, whatever heat is conducted out by this element should be the summation of heat conducted into this element plus total heat generated by this element. Because if any part of these heat is absorbed by the material, then the internal energy of the material will increase, okay, of this element, and the temperature increment of this element will occur. But we are considering steady state. So for steady state, this is energy balance. Now I am going to discuss what is happening in this element. Now heat is generated at every point in this element because we are considering uniform heat generation. So heat generated by a point is small qg, okay. Total heat generated by this cylinder is conducted to the surface at the same rate. From the surface at the same rate, heat is convected out to the atmospheric fluid, which is air generally, okay. Now to maintain the steady state, it is mandatory the rate of heat generated in total volume of the cylinder should be equal to the heat conducted to the surface of the solid, and heat conducted to the surface of the solid should be equal to the heat convected out by this surface to the atmosphere. This is the basic mandatory condition to maintain steady state. Now for this element, basic question comes where this QR comes. In this element basically heat generation is taking place only, but if we are considering any element, so for this element the heat generated by the preceding elements will be conducted out, and this heat will enter this element. So basically QR is heat generated by the elements which are nearer to the center of the cylinder, okay. So whatever heat is generated in this portion of the cylinder is conducted to this element. So QR is heat generated in this portion. Now consider at a larger radius to this element. So for that element, QR plus dr will be heat conducted into that element. So this whatever heat is rejected by this element will be the heat conducted into that element which is at a larger radius from this area as compared to this element. Okay, now this is a basic what is happening in this whole system. Now QR plus dr can also be determined by Taylor series expansion. According to Taylor series expansion, QR plus dr is equals to QR plus d upon dr QR into dr. This is showing heat entering the element, and this is showing total change in the heat conduction rate within the element. Okay, now as we already know, this term is showing rate of change per unit dimension, rate of change per unit dimension into total dimension dr. Then we will get total change of the heat transfer rate within the element. Okay, now if we compare these two equations, then QR and QR will cancel each other, QR plus dr will cancel each other, then these two terms will be equal to each other. This is basically a physical meaning. Whatever heat is generated in this element should be equal to the change of heat in this element. Total heat generated can be shown in the form of heat generated at a point. Heat generated at a point means heat generated per unit volume. Okay, when heat generated per unit volume is multiplied by volume of the element, then we will get total heat generated in this element. Okay, now the volume of the element is basically 2 pi RL into dr. Now as we I have shown only the front view of the element. This element is having thickness of capital L. Now 2 pi RL is basically surface area of this element. When we multiply surface area with thickness dr, then we will get the total volume of this element. Okay, now QR is given by, heat conduction is given by basically from Fourier's law of heat conduction, which is minus Ka dt upon dr. Here the area is radial area because heat is flowing in radial direction. As we already know, we take the area which is perpendicular to the heat flow direction in the Fourier's law of conduction. So heat is flowing in radial direction, so area perpendicular to the heat flow direction will be 2 pi r into L. So because this is happening at every cross section, we are showing only at a cross section. This is happening at every cross section along the length. Pi and 2 pi will cancel each other, L and L will cancel each other, and dr and dr will cancel each other. Hence we are left with Qg into R is equals to d upon dr minus K R dt upon dr. If thermal conductivity of the material is constant, then we can take this out of the derivative, and after rearranging we will get the equation like this: d upon dr R dt upon dr is equals to minus Qg upon K into R. So this is our basic differential governing equation for the case. Now this was the basic energy principle. To derive this governing equation, we can derive this governing equation from general heat conduction equation for cylindrical coordinates. As we already know, general heat conduction equation for cylindrical coordinates is given by del square T upon del R square plus 1 upon R del T upon del R 1 upon plus 1 upon R square del square T upon del phi square. This term is showing heat flow in tangential direction, plus del square T upon del Z square. This is showing heat flow in axial direction, plus Qg by K heat generation term is equals to 1 by alpha del T upon del T. Our case is 1D, so we have neglected heat flow in tangential and axial direction, and we have considered steady state, so change of temperature with respect to time will be 0. So we are left with this term, and after rearranging we will get the same differential equation like this. So we can get this differential governing equation from two methods. First one is basic energy balance, and second method is from the general heat conduction equation for cylindrical coordinates. Now after integrating this equation we will get r dt upon dr, okay, and integration of r will be r square by 2, and c1 is constant of integration. And further rearranging this equation we will get temperature distribution like this: dt upon dr is equals to minus qg upon 2k into r plus c1 upon r. After further integrating this equation we will get temperature distribution equal to minus 2g upon k r square by 4 plus c1 log to the base er. The integration of 1 upon r will be log to the base er plus c2, which is constant of integration. So up to now we have determined the basic governing equation for the system and temperature distribution in the system. Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the lecture. Up to now we have determined the temperature distribution for our system. In this part we are going to specify boundary condition and finally determine the values of the constant C1 and C2. Now come to the boundary condition. Our first boundary condition is at r is equal to capital R, T is equals to TW. What it means? It means the radius of the cylinder is capital R. It means the temperature of the surface of the cylinder is TW. Okay. Now our second boundary condition is at r is equals to 0, dt upon dr is 0. What is the physical meaning of this boundary condition? As I already told you that heat always follows the minimum path. So whatever heat is generated here, it will move to this surface only. Okay, it cannot cross the center line of the cylinder and move to this surface, because it will increase the path of flow of the heat. Similar happens for the heat which is generated here. It will flow to nearest outer surface only. It cannot cross the center line. So center line of the cylinder works as the insulated surface. No heat can cross this. So conduction at the center line of the cylinder is 0. So conduction at the center line is given as Q at r is equal to 0 minus Ka dt upon dr at r is equal to 0. Because K and A cannot be 0, hence dt upon dr at r is equal to 0 is 0. So after substituting the boundary condition number 2, we will get the value of constant C1 like 0. Similarly, when we put the value of boundary condition number 1 in this equation, then we will get at r is equal to capital R, okay, C1 is already 0, okay, T is TW. After solving, we will get the value of constant C2 as TW plus QG by 4K into capital R square. After substituting the value of C1 and C2 in this equation, we will get the final expression for temperature distribution in our system, which will be as T is equals to minus QG by 4K R square plus the value of C1 is 0 plus C2. TW plus QG by 4K into capital R square. When we take common QG by 4K into R square for these two terms, then our equation will modify like this: T is equals to TW plus QG by 4K into R square 1 minus small r square divided by capital R square. So from this equation we can substitute the value of R and determine temperature at any radius. We have to put only the value of R. Okay, when we put the value of R, suppose the radius of this cylinder is 10 mm. So we can put 1 mm, 2 mm at any radius. We can determine the temperature in the cylinder, and temperature is constant at a given radius in the cylinder. So we can determine in this way the temperature at every point in this cylinder. Now we can see that the temperature distribution is parabolic in nature. T is varying with square of the r. So temperature distribution is parabolic in nature, and temperature at the wall is Tw. As we already know. So what will be the maximum value of T? So maximum value of T will be this one when this term is 0. So from this we conclude that the temperature at the center will be the maximum in the cylinder. When we put small r is equals to 0, then we will get the maximum value for the temperature like this. So T naught is temperature at the center of the cylinder, which is also the maximum temperature in the cylinder, is equals to Tw plus Qg by 4K into capital R square. When we divide these two equations, then we will get the non-dimensionalized form of temperature distribution like this: T minus Tw divided by T naught minus Tw is equals to 1 minus R square divided by capital R square. Now we can draw the temperature profile. We know the temperature at the surface, and we also know temperature at the center is maximum, and we also know the variation of the temperature is parabolic in nature. So from this information we can draw the temperature distribution along the radius like this. Now we are going to discuss the last objective of our discussion, which is to determine the heat transfer rate. So heat transfer rate is given by Fourier's law of conduction, minus Ka dt upon dr. So when we put R is equals to capital R, then we will get minus K 2 pi R is capital R is basically radius of the cylinder, L dt upon dr at R is equal to capital R. Why I am doing so? Why I am determining the value of heat transfer rate at R is equal to capital R, which is the surface of the cylinder, because it is coming like this. After putting the value of dt upon dr at R is equal to capital R, we will get the value of Q at R is equal to capital R as Qg into pi R square L, and we know that this is the basically volume of the cylinder, and Qg is heat generated per unit volume. It means whatever heat is generated in this whole volume of the cylinder will reach by conduction to the surface of the cylinder, and from the surface this heat will be convected to the atmospheric air. As I already told you this in the starting of the lecture, so we have proved this fact also. So I will stop here, and we are going to discuss a beautiful problem from the GATE examination based on these two formulas only. Hello everyone, in this part we are going to discuss two problems from GATE examination. Now we are going to discuss problem from GATE 2017. According to the problem, heat is generated uniformly in a long solid cylindrical rod of diameter 10 mm at the rate of 4 into 10 to the power 7 watts per meter cube. The thermal conductivity of rod material is 25 watts per meter Kelvin. Under steady state condition, the temperature difference between the center and the surface of the rod is. So we need to determine the temperature difference between the center of the rod and the surface of the rod. In previous section we have derived the expression for the temperature at center of the cylindrical rod as T naught is equals to Tw plus Qg by 4K into capital R square. From this equation we can determine the temperature difference between center of the rod and the surface of the rod like this. T naught minus TW will be equals to QZ by 4K into capital R square, and we are given all values QZ, R and K. After substituting, we can get the value of T naught minus TW as 10 degrees centigrade. Now we are going to discuss the problem from GATE 2015. According to the problem, a cylindrical uranium fuel rod of radius 5 mm in a nuclear is generating heat at a rate of 4 into 10 to the power 7 watts per meter cube. Okay, the rod is cooled by a liquid, okay, which is having convective heat transfer coefficient as 1000 watts per meter square Kelvin at a temperature of 25 degree centigrade. At steady state, the surface temperature in Kelvin of the rod is. So we need to determine the value of the surface of the rod, and this nuclear rod is exposed to a liquid which is having the value of H like this and the temperature like this. So this problem can be solved by basic energy principle. Whatever heat is generated in this whole volume of the nuclear rod will be convected to the atmosphere to maintain the steady state. If any part of this heat is trapped in this nuclear rod, then the temperature of the rod will increase with time, so we cannot maintain the steady state. So for maintaining steady state, total heat generated in the nuclear rod should be equal to the heat convected out by the surface of the rod to the atmospheric liquid. Small qz is heat generated per unit volume, and pi r square L is volume of this cylindrical rod, and pi dl is surface area of this rod, and Tw is temperature of the surface, and Ta is basically temperature of the liquid. So we need to determine the value of Tw. After some simplification, pi and pi will cancel each other, L and L will cancel each other. We will get Qz into D by 4 is equals to H naught Tw minus Ta. After further simplification, we will get the value of Tw as 125 degrees centigrade, or in degree in Kelvin we will get the value of 398. So option B is correct. Okay, now we will stop the lecture here